video that I recorded a while ago but accidentally forgot about, I show a small art haul of Van Gogh paints. Some of the colors are refreshments of tubes I've almost run out of and would like to use to mix custom colors or for themselves, and others are some new colors I've never tried before. This was originally filmed back in August of this year, and as you can see I'm looking at the different tubes and figuring out what's going on with that. I'm separating out the new colors from the ones that are just refills of colors I had before that I needed more of because the tubes were almost empty. Here I use these empty half pans which already have magnets added on the bottom, and then for each one I clearly label them using these small labels I got at the dollar store, making sure to place the sticker on the pan before filling it with paint so that I don't get confused and mix up which paint is which. I always use pliers to open these tubes. It's much easier than trying to use my fingers. I'm filling in the gaps on the 42 spinner palette as featured in a previous video in order to make sure that it's full. Some of the colors weren't able to be placed in until after I got this order in. I have to use a knitting needle to flatten it out to make it fill in there. It looks better anyway, but also because things have to be very flat or they won't open and close properly. It'll get stuck on the bottom of the other one on top. I have to double check the flatness and make sure that it's low enough, scooping out any excess paint and putting it in the other pans if there's too much in there. I'm also trying not to put too little as well, so it's a careful balancing act. It's very satisfying having my 42 spinner palette full of my own custom paints. Although the paints it came with were actually good, as featured in another video, better than the previous ones I got from this company several years before. There's still one gap in my 42 palette because I can't find my old cobalt blue tube from Turner Artist Watercolors. I'm going to have to put a different color there that kind of suits the color order, potentially a custom mix, but probably one of my new Paul Rubens paints, just to make sure that the 42 palette's actually full, because it actually isn't right now. As you can see, there's one color that didn't also go in the 42 palette, so it needs its own half pan. In this palette circle, I show the transitions between the colors. Later I go back in and add the pigment code numbers that are not yet featured here on this circle. This six-sided circle is very useful. Not only is it beautiful and finished, you can see the transitions between the colors and start learning about how to mix them, which is very important. It can also lead into custom mixes if I want certain custom mixes. Through this process I can learn about the differences between the different colors. The different colors have different properties. Those three yellows are quite similar on the surface. They're all good, very light, fast yellows, but there are differences between the properties of them and slight differences in hue. I'll ask you to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you're really enjoying my content. Permanent Lemon Yellow PY184 is a very nice color that I'm very happy to have in my collection. Permanent Red Deep PR149 is also a very nice, neutral I'd say, red. Transparent Yellow Medium PY128, also very useful. Quinacridone Purple Red PV55, Azo Yellow Light PY154 and PW6, also useful with a little opacity in it. Madder Lake Light PR264 and PR254. I also found that the Permanent Lemon Yellow was a little more opaque, although the Transparent Yellow Medium is extremely translucent. There's a slight bit more opacity to the other two yellows here, which made them work differently. The yellow that looks the darkest in the pan, in fact, is the one that's the most transparent. All these colors are very light fast and very useful to add to my collection, and were ones I didn't have before. All three of these yellows are really quite neutral leaning on the yellow scale, so they're very much more in the middle, with the Permanent Lemon Yellow being slightly cooler than the other two. These colors are very useful in mixes because I found I didn't have enough neutral tone yellows that were light fast to work for custom mixes, which is the main reason why I bought these. PY154 is Benzimidia Yellow, and I didn't have that in any other brand, and PY184 Bismuth Yellow is also a color I didn't actually have in another brand, which I was actually looking for certain custom mixes. I ended up investing in ones that I didn't have that were the most useful for mixes overall. There's only a few more colors left for me to collect to actually have the full Van Gogh line, and I do think I want to go for the full Van Gogh line. It would be nice to have the full collection. And here's the look at the finished wheel. It's good to refer to while doing paintings with these colors. Here's some other custom mixes I did with these colors, labeled out in my sketchbook. In my other new sketchbook, here is a Art Nouveau dog person. I'm taking all the colors out of the other palette they were being stored in and re-wetting them with a pipette. I'm doing a few custom mixes. I'm testing the colors on the side before committing to the final picture. I'm doing very watered down base layer here to get some of the palest golden glowing tones in. I'm limiting myself only to these 6 colors, 3 very similar yellows, 2 quite similar more neutral reds, and the quinacridone purple red. Interestingly, you can get golden tones with these colors, including beautiful glowing goldeny browns, and I find that actually it's very Art Nouveau looking colors. Because it was a more Art Nouveau looking color, I decided to paint this in with this limited color palette. I had previously already drawn the dog while I was working on these videos with this old footage I hadn't finished for my geometric video. I'm not sure if that one's actually going to come out first or this one, so here's the color painting for the line art and penciling you saw a bit of in that video, if it came out first, or here's the painting in of something you're about to see more or less made, although I didn't film the inking stage for this. I'm mixing different amounts of the purple red, the quinacridone purple red in, which is the closest thing I have to any kind of blue. So it almost has to substitute for a blue color in this case, which is a very interesting limited color palette. Sometimes limiting yourself like this is really where you do a lot of working. If you're limited in your colors and you have restrictions, that's when you really figure out how to make do. That's when you really learn the properties and colors here. I was really able to notice the differences between the transparent yellow medium and the other two, because the transparent yellow was more glowing and transparent, but in some cases the more opaque ones were more useful for making certain mixes that I wanted to look a certain way. I noticed that I could get more of a pure orange with the transparent yellow medium, but the other oranges mixed with the other yellows were very similar too. So it's very slight differences in this case, but as I experimented with it, I figured it out. The other thing is learning how to mix brown and golden colors with red, yellow, and a touch of purple was really learning experience for me, and I found that some of the beautiful golden brownie tones here, I'm probably going to intentionally mix a custom half pan of the quin purple red and one of the other colors, or maybe some of the color tones I took notes for and mixed here. I'm gonna get some of this beautiful golden brown that's mixed with purple, red, and yellow. I gotta get at least one half pan mixed after doing this experiment, because it's a beautiful color that I might forget in the long term how I mixed, even though I have written notes and video notes. So I still might do it. Also, having pre-mixed colors I find allows you to go a lot faster when you're actually painting, because mixing colors for me is a separate and enjoyable thing versus painting. Painting is a different activity than mixing colors the way my brain works. So I prefer to pre-mix a lot of stuff more often, or get closer to the colors I need and just alter them slightly as I'm painting, rather than mixing colors from whole cloth. Now, when it comes to a painting like this, I'm mixing more than I normally do, because part of the purpose of this is to study and use a limited palette. So really, what's the goal of your painting? All these cuts and transitions are just me setting it aside and letting it completely dry between different layers, because if you don't, you can get bleed and smudge, and it's a problem. As you see, I had to correct the eye there because I went over the edge, and I had to do a bit of wetting and lifting there. I had to do a couple final details at the end as well before I get things back in. I'm trying to darken up the edges near where some of the lines are, just so that the geometric shapes become more obvious. And I'm trying to get some texture in there so it's more interesting than just flat color. Once again, that's all for this video. If you like my videos, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to all notifications so you will know when a new video comes up. I aim for new videos every Wednesday, but sometimes life happens and things are delayed. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you with another one very soon.